Hello to the group, John Stewart, Holiday, Utah. I want to talk about fishing line today. I want to talk about my thoughts and rationale between what I choose and what I don't choose. And to make a long story short, it all depends upon line diameter, and we'll go from there. So when I first started fishing ultralight, I got into the S Pro, and I bought the S Pro 6-pound, and it's 0.1 millimeters. Keep that in mind. I started fishing it. I thought it was halfway decent. I liked it. Didn't know much about braid. Didn't know much what I was looking at. And this is 6-pound. So then I started buying some cheaper braid off of AliExpress, and it wasn't doing anything for me. It was not as thin, not as nice a finish as the S Pro. So kept researching, kept looking at stuff, finally settled on the J braid. Now, the J braid made by Daiwa, I think, is the thinnest braid on the market. It's 6-pound, it's 0.06 millimeters. And what does that do? What does the thickness of the line do? It allows you to finesse very light baits. And that's the one thing that braid has done for the fishing world. It allows you, as the braid gets thinner and finer and easier to cast, you can use lighter and smaller stuff on any reel. Of course, bait casters, that's a whole nother series of discussions, because bait casters really need to be tuned. But when you're talking spinning reels and things, I don't want to say you can put anything on a spinning reel, but you basically can, because there's nothing keeping the line coming off the spool. Whereas with a bait caster, you need extra bearings and a lighter spool, and it needs to be kind of dialed in to an extent. So I used J braid for a long time, and I liked it. But with braid, it becomes this flowing thing of flowness, and it becomes difficult to manage, and I never liked it. So, well, I don't want to say I never liked it, but it was what it was. It was thin, it was a performer, and that's what it was. You just dealt with it. You just deal. So, okay, I'm not using S Pro, and I'm not using J braid. Oh, another thing when it comes to braid, the thicker the braid, the less you need to be concerned about, I think, performance coming off the spool. So on all my bait casters, I use Power Pro V2 Super Slick at 30-pound. Why 30-pound? Because it's 0.28 millimeters. Because that's what 12-pound mono, for the most part, is. And that's the best performance on my bait casting reels. My bait casting reels like something at least 12 pounds on my heavier stuff. They like a 12-pound thickness line, and typically that's at point, I don't know, 2.2, 2.4 and up. And so as long as I can stay within that diameter, my bigger bait casting reels work just fine. So that's why I have this. Okay, so I like to search the AliExpress, as you know, as you've seen in all my other videos. I love AliExpress because it gives you it's easier to search than Amazon. Not search, but page through pages of stuff. And allows you to kind of see the cutting edge of what's out there. A lot of times these manufacturers make their products for the big names. I'm assuming such. And I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming such. So I use that to my advantage to find performance-based products that are fairly cheap, usually really cheap, and then go ahead and incorporate that into my selection set of what I can find. So I found this Zakubo Fire FT, this line right here. And the description is that it doesn't perform like a typical braid. It's heavier. And my ears perked up. My eyes, whatever. I was like, whoa, it's heavier. So it doesn't have that real flowing, flowable thing of typical braid. Performs more like maybe a monofilament to an extent, maybe half the performance of a monofilament. Well, that's better than zero performance, and it's not, it doesn't perform like braid. It performs better, and it's heavier, and it has maybe body. Maybe body's a better term for this. So I bought it, and I got to tell you, I love it. This is on all my reels now. This is on all my ultralight stuff. It's 2.2 kilograms, 4.9 pound test, and it's 0.09 millimeters. That's not too far off from the 6-pound J braid. It's a little bit thicker. This is 0.06, but this is 0.09, and the performance, the castability, the straight line castability, it's almost like you're not even using a typical braid. It's almost like you're using a mono, which rings all the bells. Incredible. And it's not necessarily fairly cheap, but it's fairly cheap. So, if that made any sense. I bought it in black. It comes in black and white. And here's the rub. When you buy a black line, you're not going to see it. And that's frustrating to me, because as I get older, my eyesight gets worse. So they have black and white. So AliExpress had a sale a few weeks ago, and I bought some of the white version. And let me do an unboxing of the white. An unbagging of the white. I bought two different line weights here. My typical line weight of 0.3 with squiggly lines, 2.2 kilograms, so it's 4.9 pounds, and it's white. And they only make it in like 100, 300, and 500 meters. So these are both 5 pound. And then I bought a thicker version. Well, the packaging is good. And this is 13.2 pounds for one of my spinning reels. I'm going to give that a try. One of my heavier spinning reels. So here's why I got white, so I can see it. But that's going to add a whole nother thing to do to prep it. So usually I'm not that concerned about color. I really am not. But every once in a while I think to myself, well, what if it does really make a difference? Nobody really knows if it makes a difference or not. Especially when you're looking at people with their drop shot rigs and all their other hooks and weights hanging off their baits and stuff. It's hard for me to imagine that color is going to mean anything to the fish. But wow, that is pretty translucent. And then, if I need to color it, I bought some Sharpies years ago. Well, years, I don't know, year and a half ago, because everyone was talking about this. I notched the tip with an X-Acto blade, and then that'll fit easy. Golly, I can't even hardly hold on to this stuff. And then if I need to, I can mark it up 2 to 3 feet from the bait. Can't even hardly see that. I don't even know if the camera has the resolution to pick that up. So, something to keep in mind when you're fishing. I think by looking at this white color, I'm not going to even need to color it up, because I am hoping that white is going to absorb the color, and because it's so thin, and not be that much of a distraction to the fish. I mean, yeah, I can see the black. I can see the black more than the white. We'll see. What are the price of these? I think with shipping and everything, my total cost for all 3 spools was $90. So about $30 a spool. Excuse me, about $30 a spool for 500 meters. I think that's not too bad. Because as you know, line can just get kooky. It can just, the price of, especially when you're buying a 1,500 yard spool, that could be $200-300. I got all my stuff on sale. I like to buy it off eBay for the J Braid and the Power Pro. But line is crazy important when you're going ultralight, like insane, to find something that's, and here's the other thing. If you're buying a vintage reel, like a Cardinal series, I've got reviews on that stuff. Some of the 40-year-old reels, those things were designed for mono. They really were. The new reels, it seems, I have the Abu Garcia Revo Beast and the Abu Garcia Xenon. It seems like their line roller does a bit of a cross weave of the line on the spool. And because of that, this really fine line doesn't embed itself into each other and get stuck as it's coming off like the older reels do. That's something to think about when you're shopping, when you're thinking, I'm just going to get a vintage reel. Well, things are different with today's technology. Yeah, I wish I could be able to use my old spinning Cardinal reels, the green and white ones, but I really can't. So I have since put 6-pound mono on those, and go from there. And I like the Trilene series. I like the Trilene XL. And then there's another one I have too. I can't remember. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on lines and using a marker and the Sakubo Fire FT. I'll put a link in the description so you can do your research and figure out what you want to do, because it's so important when you're out there on the water. You have so much invested, where, not only time, but traveling, trying to find the right spot. You got lures and baits, and you're trying to have a good time, and the line can make it or break it. It really can, especially if you're casting certain lures and all of a sudden the shock will shear the line and your lure will go flying. I've had that happen multiple times too. And from what I understand, it's because this stuff just doesn't stretch. And because it doesn't stretch, it doesn't absorb that initial flick of the wrist, and funny things happen to the lure and the line and blah, blah, blah. Okay, hope this helps. Please leave your comments about if you think my thoughts are totally whack, because they could be. I'm always willing to learn new stuff. And if you have stuff to share, please share it, not only for me, but for the group. The comments are so important, good or bad. I leave all the comments open. And then, okay. Have a great weekend. Cheers.